Hey, I hope all of you had a wonderful Thanksgiving. Got some rest, ate some delicious food, spent time with family and friends. However, you celebrated, even if you just slip in for 5 minutes, I hope you had a wonderful holiday and a wonderful break. I know that it was one of the best that we've had in a long time and definitely the most relaxing, and I mean, it was incredible. And I'm very thankful to work for Hamilton Valley Management and to have had that time off to come back this week rejuvenated. Though I'll be honest, this morning when my alarm went off, I was not rejuvenated. And some of you have seen pictures of my dogs, seen videos of my dogs. I have three labs, and they think they're these tiny little dogs, and of course, you know, they're not the biggest dog breed in the world, but they're by no means, and they are full of energy. Um, and I've been thinking on this for a while, but I just haven't really figured out how to convey it without just me rambling on about my fur babies. But they amaze me in many ways, but one of the most fascinating and also frustrating to me is they sleep in our bedroom with us, and when the alarm goes off, it's like they kind of open their eyes to see what's going to happen, and they can tell if I push the snooze or if I'm getting ready to get up. And this morning I pushed the snooze a couple times because one, I didn't want to get out of bed because it was cold and I just was not quite ready to face the day. But my dogs know that the minute I turn off the alarm and I take the cover off me, they wake up, and they wake up and shoot into this overdrive that when you're not a morning person like me and don't want to get out of bed, it's not endearing in any way. But they have this excitement that we are getting up and they're allowed to get up and run around. And it is like this half love fest, half wrestling match that they engage in where they're all over me wanting to say good morning and make sure I can like pet each one of them. And then they're wrestling and jockeying for who's going to be the first one, while the other two end up wrestling with each other to see who's going to get to be the second and then the third one. Um, I it really hit home this morning that like that's well one, that's how I want to be able to wake up every morning, is as soon as my feet hit the ground that like I'm ready to jump around and be excited. But also, you know, the stretch from Thanksgiving to Christmas to the end of the year is crazy and it's insane and it flies by. And even though all the songs and advertisements say it's the most wonderful time of year, it's not always the most wonderful time of year for multiple reasons. And I just was thinking that I want to be able to finish the year, personally and professionally, with the same enthusiasm that my dogs greet the day. That I don't want to just coast and be okay with mediocrity until the end of the year. Like I want to finish the year strong. Um, but at the same time, I'm saying it versus doing it is very different. And this year has been insane, and I know 2020 was insane, but I think in some ways, at least from my perspective, that 2021 was even harder because we all went in so hopeful that it was going to be a better year. And while there were many positives in it, it was it was still hard. There were a lot of things that happened that still made 2021 also a struggle. And I read this really cool article that they've done research and studies that many people just feel completely exhausted. Um, and they just don't know how to re-energize. And if you think about all the uncertainty we've had to navigate and all the pivots we've had to make in the past year, where we hear one thing and 20 minutes later, the same agency is coming out and saying something completely different. And while in this profession, I think y'all are really good at making those changes and making those pivots, just because you're dealing with people all the time, and it's very hard to not be flexible if you're going to stay in this profession very long. Um, but being able to do that in your job, and then also having all the stuff happening outside of you that you are always feeling like you're on your toes and not knowing which direction you're going to turn. It's been hard to maintain any resilience, or maintain like any steadiness, because it seems like we're always just ready for the unexpected, because we don't know what's going to happen. And in one of these research studies, they found something that positively impacts people's psychological safety and well-being and performance is enforcing a culture of care into your life, into your office, like into your property. So care stands for compassion, appreciation, responsibility, and emotional wisdom. And so trying to infuse your life with those things, where you not only show that, but you find a way to build that in those you live with, work with, come in contact with. Compassion, um, being generous, and open, maybe, rather than jumping to conclusions and making assumptions and rushing into judgments about people. That compassion can really help create a psychological safe space for people. And it's usually a lot easier to go to someone who is compassionate when you are struggling, and say, I'm not going to be able to get this in on time. You really hope for a compassionate response instead of an angry one. Appreciation, I think appreciation goes so far, and it doesn't have to be anything huge. And speaking of that, not everyone has gotten one of these. Some of them say different things, but they're just little notes for me. I don't know how many of you have seen that it says on the side to pop open, and they open up. If you haven't gotten one yet, after our Zoom meetings, you will. But I thought this would be. It's not huge. It's small, but it's something that I hope conveys my appreciation for y'all. So little things like that. Um, encourage people. Give give help when you can. Ask people for help if you need it. Definitely appreciate people's strengths and use them, and recognize them. Responsibility, you know, um, it invites ownership, and if you can help infuse responsibility into others, and by leading by example and you taking responsibility, um, for your duties and your life. It also helps other people become more responsible. And then emotional wisdom, I think, is a hard one. One, because we try not to always show or share our emotions, but by viewing them and acknowledging them, even the uncomfortable ones that you might not want to acknowledge, um, you know, think of them, like learn from them. Say, okay, I'm really angry right now, but then think, okay, why am I angry? What caused me to be angry? How can I move through this? Okay, because emotions are real and emotions are valid, and by learning and recognizing them and identifying them, it helps you work through them. And then that's something that you can also share with others. So, this is kind of like a half pep talk, half pep rally, um, cheering y'all on to the end of the year. If any of you are still watching my ramble, but we have like a month left, and there's a lot that has to be done in this month, and you know, don't give up. Um, definitely continue to take care of yourself and prioritize your health and well-being, because we need you in this job. But at the same time, like, don't slack off. Keep working hard. Keep moving forward. Um, and maybe you'll have one day between now and the end of the year where, when your feet hit the ground, you go crazy, like Fletch, Kuma, and Daisy, and raring to go and raring to make the most of the day. Um, you know, that image kind of helps me in the mornings when I'm not wanting to get going, but seeing them so excited about life helps me get going. So, hope you had a great Thanksgiving and you got some rest that will help you push into the new year.